Hello, viewers of our Gnosis channel. Today I'd like to reflect with you about something that people usually ask, that of destiny. Is there such thing as fate? Is it possible that what happens in my life depends on a force outside of me? That what happens in my life depends on my own actions? What things in my life are predetermined? Is there a law of karma? That which many religions speak about. In Gnosis, we study that yes, there is a law of cause and effect that is called karma, meaning there are things in our life that come already from birth. Certain family conditions, for example, that we do not choose. This is easy for us to understand. We do not choose the family that we have. We are simply born already connected to these people in our own family. And why is that? We study that according to this law of karma, it has to do with our past actions, that we connected or linked ourselves to those people by issues of affinity because our paths crossed. Another thing that we did not choose is the country where we were born. We are born in a country. We form a personality, a nationality that gives us various characteristics, and it was not something that we chose. It was chosen for us, so to speak. Then, by logic, we see that there are things that we did not choose. There are things that are predetermined. And these things are included within this law of cause and effect that would be determined by the law of destiny, by divine law that determines where we go, into which family, and our genetics. Let's analyze what are genetics. It's that we come into the world with a predisposition to certain diseases or with a certain level of vitality. There are people who sleep very little and always have a lot of energy. And there are people who are born with certain health conditions that make life a little bit more difficult for them. Things that we're not chosen and that really are part of our reality and depend on universal laws greater than us human beings. But regardless of this, and the most important of what I wanted to say today is that however difficult our life has been, let's give an example of a person who has had a difficult family life that got along really bad with their father or their mother, a person who suffered with their family, a person who was born in a home where there was a lot of poverty, or people who have had problems of abuse, violence during childhood, in short, that were born with unfavorable conditions. I think it is important that we understand that this does not mean that this person's life will be difficult all the time, where he or she will not be able to triumph, will not be able to achieve what he or she desires. This does not mean that this person will not be happy. Because no matter how much we study the law of karma, and we say, I have this karma, I got married and my marriage is very difficult. I got into this relationship without knowing that it would be so difficult. What can I do now? I am tired of this difficult marriage filled with so much suffering. In truth, everything in our life depends on the posture that we have to face it. We have to understand that. That man who had a difficult family life, he can triumph over whatever he wants to. He can be happy, succeed, and be really happy, and achieve a lot of success. There are many people and many cases we can study. I do not know if you heard the story of Abraham Lincoln. It is not the example that I gave of the family, but in Abraham Lincoln's life, everything he tried went wrong. He ran for several elections. He had a business that failed. Anyway, maybe you heard about this story. He had extremely difficult processes in life until he reached a point, as he never got discouraged, as he never surrendered, as he never had a negative view of what happened to him, he managed to become the President of the United States. He is a great example for all of us. There are people who are born with disabilities, people who don't have an arm, people who can't walk, and we would think that this person has a difficult life ahead. And in reality, we must understand that what determines our success in life, our happiness, is our posture or attitude towards life. It's a winning attitude, it's a positive outlook. We can take advantage of problems by not calling them problems, but instead challenges. That which is difficult, that family problem, we have to see it as a message from life, the great teacher of life. What does life want me to learn from this situation? Why is the relationship with my mother so difficult? Why is the relationship with my husband so difficult? Let's analyze this, and from that will be born a great lesson to be learned, not a problem. Because if we see this in a negative way, we put ourselves in a position of failure, and then we cannot solve this situation. And in truth, what most determines whether we are happy or not is not the external circumstances. It is not our karma. It is not what was decided for us, but what we decide. A person needs to learn to take advantage of the situations that life puts before them to become a stronger person, a more generous person, more altruistic. And the more we do for others, the more we receive in return. So when a person dedicates a lot of time to think about their own problems, when we have those moments of disencouragement, and we begin to think that we don't have money, our family has so many problems, we don't know what profession to follow, when we begin to feel stuck inside the problem, it generates anxiety and discouragement. Such states of anxiety and discouragement, this negative view of life, this negative posture towards life, discouragement and pessimistic, this is what will determine that what we fear or what we do not want will actually happen. So we end up attracting negative situations by the way we see life, by the way that we think. So it is fundamental to cultivate positive feelings, positive emotions, positive thoughts, that I will get through this situation. I will be able to solve this family problem. But in fact, to solve the problem is not eliminating the situation from my life. To solve it is to be able to conquer a state of serenity in the middle of the storm, a state of reflection, and ask myself the following thing: why is my life bringing me this situation? Life is my teacher. What does life want me to develop? There is a phrase of the Gnostic philosopher Samael Aun Weor: the worst adversities give us the best opportunities. If everything was always fine, there would be no learning. If everything was perfect, the way we want, there would be no inner growth. And who benefits from the difficult situations? Our soul. Our soul is the product of the learning extracted from the experiences of life. And do you know which are the greatest teaching experiences? Those are the most difficult experiences: sadness, discouragement. In those states is when we will forge our inner strength and conviction of the divine force that is out there putting us in all these situations. And it is wonderful when we realize the synchronicity of life, when we realize that there are no coincidences, that during our whole life, she has been guiding us like a mother through most of those situations to awaken in us certain virtues and capacities. A financial problem awakens in us the capacity to work, the capacity for creativity. We always hear that necessity is the mother of invention. So, what could it be that this situation of necessity is trying to teach you to invent? What could it be that life is calling you to develop? With this positive view, this vision of triumph, this vision of hope, there is nothing that we cannot conquer. So let us forget our own personal struggles, that our childhood was difficult, that we were underprivileged, that we met the wrong person and this person harmed us. Let us retell our life story in a totally positive way, that everything has happened to us in order for us to grow. Everything that happened to us in the best way, because these problems are great opportunities that are waiting to awaken in us a soul full of virtues and capacities that are much stronger and more powerful than we can even imagine. So let us always cultivate a state of harmony and gratitude, thankful for the little things, and we will realize that in truth we are already rich. We are already strong. We already have everything we need to be happy. We just need to cultivate a state of inner joy, a state of inspiration, a state of connection with God and with life. Let us search Gnostic courses. Let us search a spiritual path. And for sure, we will be able to give new meaning to our story and to our life. I thank you for your attention, and please subscribe to our channel to see the videos that are always being made with great care and love. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.